Welcome to the Joy School Podcast. Real talk about what it takes to create your happiest, healthiest, and most dynamic life. And now, here's your host, transformational life coach, happiness strategist, and best-selling author, Kristi Ling Spencer.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for being with me for another episode of the show. I am so happy and grateful that you're here as always. Don't you love daydreaming? I was doing a bit of that this morning on my own, just got up with my coffee, having a few peaceful minutes, and started thinking about travel for the rest of this year and next year. Where am I being called to visit? What is speaking to me? And what might serve me. I can have the flexibility to travel quite a bit because I work remotely, but I try to also be very deliberate about it. And I do have to work my travel schedules around commitments that I have for clients or for other work obligations that are important to me, commitments to myself, right? So with all that in the mix, I came up with a few things that I think I want to add to my calendar for the rest of this year and for next year. And that just got me so excited. And it really put me in a great place to record this show for you today. So I will talk a little bit about travel in an upcoming episode. I'm actually going to do a whole episode on planning travel mindfully and also how we can do it on friendly budgets, right? Because one of my favorite things is actually travel hacks where you save a ton of money and actually end up having even more fun or seeing something you might not have otherwise seen. And I love to travel. I'm a great travel planner, and I'm going to share some of my secrets with you in an upcoming episode. But I had a lot of fun this morning daydreaming and planning, and I'm super excited about what's to come. And if you've got some fun trips or suggestions for me, I would love to hear about them. Follow me over on Instagram or find me on Twitter or Facebook and leave me a comment or send me a note and share your ideas with me. I always love hearing from you and I love your recommendations. All right. So for today's show, we are going to talk about words and how the words we choose and the language we use can either add to or enhance our life and our energy, or take away from us and those around us in small and not so small ways. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because I believe down deep in my core, and I know many of you know this as well, that words are tremendously powerful. And while so many words are totally neutral, many of the words we use can serve us in such powerful, incredible, positive ways. And some of them can be destructive and hurtful and damaging, right? Words can be world-changing, culture-changing, and life-changing. They can be healing and they can be hurtful. And we've all probably experienced all of these things where we've been hurt by someone's words or healed by someone's words. Or we've heard words, somebody speak words that have moved us and the world in incredible ways, right? Or changed culture forever. It's really incredible how powerful words are. And when you think about it, harnessing that power and applying it to your life is an amazing concept. So that's really what we're going to dive into a bit today. I just want to give you a few things to think about and a little homework assignment. So stay with me and we'll get to that. And right now, we're going to talk about some ways that we can start thinking about using the power of words to help us and help others in our lives. I want us all to understand that so many of the words we use on a regular basis are actually habits. They are language habits we've created by repeatedly using a word or a phrase enough times to the point where we use them without really thinking about it or being very deliberate about it. They just come out, right? And that is totally normal. And the great news is it's also something we have complete control over, just like we have control over being purposeful about other habits in our lives. So knowing this is the first step in becoming highly aware of the words and phrases we're choosing and using and the power they carry, and then mindfully tailoring them and curating them to create new language habits on purpose that lift us up and help us become the version of ourselves we desire to be. And we can lift others around us. We can be better leaders. We can be better family members. Words are so powerful, and small changes can make all the difference. We have the power to control the words we use, and in ways that can enhance our life in magical ways. They do wonders for our mind, our body, and our success, and they can do wonders for others around us that we care about too. The right choice of words can make us better friends, and as I mentioned, better family members, better in our careers, better at leadership, better at so many skills. They can make us more dynamic, more interesting, and even happier and more joyful. There are even trends in words that come and go. We probably can all think of a few of those, I would think. And for the most part, that's what slang is. And it can actually be fun. And then there are classics, words that always have a kind, elegant, and positive sound. A few of my favorites are love, abundance, ethereal, I love that word, and compassionate. I saw a meme somewhere that I loved so much, and I've really tried to actually put it into practice. It said something along the lines of how we could change our lives if we only spoke to ourselves in the way we speak to our dogs. Now, it sounds really funny, and it is, but seriously, when I catch myself speaking to my dog Mai Tai in the mornings, when I say, "Hi, sweet, beautiful girl. I hope you slept well. We're going to make it a great day today. I love you." You get the drift, right? When I listen to myself speaking to her, I understand the important meaning of this meme, as funny as it is. So yes, we should all be speaking to ourselves the same way we speak to our dogs, or the way we would speak to someone we love dearly, because we really are our own number one, right? So first and foremost, the words we use to ourselves and about ourselves probably matter the most. So I really want you to be thinking about that. And if the story about the dog makes you smile, apply that like I did. And, if you speak to your cat or your partner or whoever it is, the kindness in our voice that we use when we have great love in our voice is the same kindness we should have in our voice and our words when we speak to and about ourselves. So that's the first area I want you to pay close attention to. How you can shift your language or add new words that lift you up and are beautiful and kind. Try looking in the mirror in the morning and saying, "Hey, you amazing person, you're going to make today great." You'll find that just speaking new words about yourself and to yourself in new ways will lift you up all day and boost your self-esteem to new levels. It really is a great foundation to start the day, speaking to yourself lovingly and kindly. Something else I'd like you to consider are how harsh some words can sound and the energy they can carry, because words carry energy. And by using harsh words, we create a systemic negative energy that can affect us and those around us in detrimental ways. And we may not even notice that we're doing it. Heavy or negative sounding words or phrases can create resistance both in our own brain and create blocks that keep us from our joy and success. And they can also create resistance in the minds of others who are listening to us. When we use these words, we can affect not just ourselves, but the energy and those around us. I have a friend who has the habit of responding to people in conversations with the words, "I disagree." And while it's perfectly okay or even great to have differences in opinions than others, sucking the energy out of the conversation with the words, "I disagree," isn't the best way to go about expressing your differences. Don't those words, just hearing them, kind of make your skin jolt a little bit? They are a bit jolting. And while this friend of mine doesn't realize that the words "I disagree" can really put people on defense and are heavy and negative, they really do some damage. And I can hear when I hear this in conversation, the energy just goes flat. It shuts down conversations and puts others on defense, making them unlikely to hear your view. So while the words "I disagree" come from a place of trying to strongly share your opinion, they don't serve you in that way, because people are less likely to hear your view if they don't feel heard. Think about that. It lessens their desire to engage in much more conversation with you at all, very likely, right? I know I feel that way sometimes if someone responds to me that way, but I'm much more open if somebody chooses different ways to disagree with me. So perhaps a better choice of words might be, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. Have you considered XYZ? Much more dynamic and respectful, right? And interesting. I also love the words yes and. These words are a great way to keep conversation flowing in positive ways because you're not agreeing or disagreeing with somebody. You're just continuing things. Yes, and I recently read an article that XYZ. So you don't have to necessarily agree or disagree with somebody in order to share your thoughts on a subject. The words yes and are a great and welcoming transition into what you have to add to the conversation. I love those words, and they actually work in so many ways. They work in also opening up possibility. When you're making lists of things, think in your mind, yes, and what else? Yes, and more is available. So those are great words to add to your vocabulary. Yes, and, yes, and, yes, and. I love it. The point is, you don't even have to let the person know you're disagreeing with them in order for your thoughts to be heard and to matter. You can gracefully share your view when it's your turn to speak without dismissing the other person, right? I also love the phrase, you're not wrong. It can be used in so many ways. Think about it. It's neutral. You're not telling the person they're right either. This is a great one to use with family. And it can also be a really good way and fun way of agreeing with somebody when you strongly agree. Like when a friend says, it would be so great if we were in Hawaii right now. And you say, you're not wrong, right? And so those are more great words just to consider and think about the meaning of them and how soft they are, fun and powerful. The words we choose have the power to make people feel seen, heard, and respected. And that's what we all want, right? A single word can change someone's entire day. A single word can change your entire day, right? Don't you love it? Here's another example of a great word swap. And this is great inspiration, actually, for examining all the words we're using to see which ones we might want to switch out for more supportive versions. Years ago, I was at a Hay House event for authors, and I heard the beautiful Louise Hay speak about the power of words. She used an example that I thought was so simple, but so fantastic. It's such a small thing, but wow. She said, let's stop using the phrase break a habit, or I want to break this habit. It sounds so harsh and immediate, right? It might even create a tiny bit of resistance in our brains that actually blocks us from ditching the habit we want to change. So Louise suggested using a phrase like dissolve the habit. Doesn't that immediately feel better, softer, and more doable? Can you feel it in your body? It's like, oh, I can do that. That feels so much better. I can dissolve a habit. I just love that. I also love the idea of using the words shift the habit. I'm going to shift this habit, meaning that you're going to replace a harmful or negative habit with a helpful one and one that serves you. Because I believe a great way to dissolve a habit that's not serving us is to actually replace it with a habit that does. So I'm going to do a future episode on this, on swapping out habits, but it's just something I want you to be thinking of, the language around this. I thought she was so right. And, it's not just the word break a habit, right? There's other words like I don't love the phrase crush it. And I know so many well-meaning people say you're going to crush it, but I personally don't really want to crush anything. It just sounds violent. I want to easily and gracefully step into something. I want it to feel good. I don't want to feel like I'm smashing or crushing something. Now, that's just my personal choice, but you get what I'm saying in general about all the words. So see what feels right for you. Another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes speaking less is more powerful than using any words at all. The things we don't say can sometimes serve us very well. So sometimes it's not just about using different words, it's about using fewer words. Voltaire said, the secret to being boring is to say everything. And I love that. And it's kind of true. You know, we all know those people that ramble and ramble and ramble, and you kind of glaze over after a while. So maybe even fine tuning and working on the way you're phrasing your points and your languages and your stories with different words, more powerful words, and more succinct sentences can be another way that you start to work on your words and language. I know this is something I'm always trying to work on, especially as a speaker. And even as I go into this podcast, I'm always growing and evolving in this area. So I have a little homework assignment for you, which I promised earlier that I think will be fun and powerful for you. Sometime in the next day or two, take your journal or a piece of paper and write down 5 words you find yourself using that you would like to replace or shift. And then write down the words you'd like to practice replacing them with that feel good to you and feel uplifting. Now, I say 5 and no more than that because I think this is a doable place to start. You don't really want to overwhelm yourself. If you try too many, then it's just too hard to remember them all. If you start with 5 or even 3, if 5 feels like you're not going to remember them, or even 1 at a time, choose 1 word you'd like to eliminate from your vocabulary, write it down, and then write down 1 or 2 words that mean a similar thing, but that are so much more empowering and uplifting, right? And then whenever you catch yourself using that word or those words that you've chosen, you can stop and repeat the phrase, but replace it with the right word so that your brain starts to get retrained. Repeat the sentence with emphasis on the right word. This is how you retrain your mind and retrain your habit with the new word. And after a while, it'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. You can even stop yourself and tell your friend or whoever it is you're speaking with, oh my gosh, I just said this word that I'm trying really hard to eliminate from my vocabulary. So the word I'm trying to replace it with is this one. So let me repeat that sentence. You might be surprised at the positive response you'll get from people like, wow, you've inspired me to change some words in my language too, right? It is totally okay to just be real and authentic about the positive changes you're trying to make in your life. And when you speak them to others and share your story about it with others, you inspire them as well. So, by the way, these don't all have to be negative words. Sometimes we just find ourselves using a certain words a bit too much. I split my time between Houston and Los Angeles, but for the past 4 years or so, Texas has been my main base. And I recently noticed myself in the habit of saying y'all too much. Now, I love this phrase, don't get me wrong, but not every 3rd paragraph, right? Or every 5th sentence. So I started replacing it with you all. And I started doing that very deliberately and on purpose. So now when I do occasionally say y'all, it's in a place of lightness and fun, the way, to me anyway, that it's meant to be. So I guarantee you, when it turns fall, you'll definitely catch me saying happy fall, y'all, because I do like that word. I just wanted to swap it with something for more consistent use and then to enable myself with more deliberate use of the word in the way that I enjoy it. So now is the part of the show where I share a Joy School habit with you. Each episode, I share a small doable habit that has positive payoff when you implement it. Small positive habits really add up, friends. They all create the foundation for a more joyful, energetic, successful life and the foundation for becoming the best version of ourselves, right? This one I actually mentioned earlier, and it ties into today's topic, and that is to pick a positive phrase or words of encouragement and work to create the habit of saying them to yourself or your partner or your dog, like I talked about earlier with my dog, Mai Tai, each morning. It can be whatever works for you. Like I said, I speak to my dog each morning when I give her a kiss, and I tell her that we're going to create a great day. And I deliberately use the word we. We're going to create a great day. So I'm not only speaking sweetly to her, but at the same time, that affirmation is for both of us. And I can feel the energy of it when it's said. So it can even be something that makes you smile or laugh. Like I watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime. I love that show. It's adorable. And I love that she and her manager, Susie, say tits up before she goes on stage. It's both funny and strangely motivating, I think. But that's what works for her to get her uplifted and mentally and ready to go on stage, right? And if you think about it, every morning when we step into our day, we are stepping into the arena of life. Who doesn't need some motivational words or something to kick your brain into that place that you want to be, right? So think of a phrase or a sentence or a few words that you can say to yourself as a habit each morning that makes you feel uplifted and motivated and ready for the day. Choose something that works for you. And also, in addition to that, you can apply this to looking at yourself in the mirror. And it can be as simple as looking at yourself in the mirror, saying your words that empower you, and then following it up with, hey there, by the way, I love you and you're doing great. Make this a habit and you will notice a difference in no time, probably the first day you try it. Okay, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I've enjoyed being here with you and sharing this with you. I would be so grateful if you enjoyed this episode, if you would take a minute to leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. I do look at them all, and this is how you can help the show reach more people who might also enjoy it and benefit from it. And be sure to connect with me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on Pinterest as well. And you can visit my website at KristiLingSpencer.com. I always love hearing from you. Leave me comments, send me notes, let me know what you thought about in today's show or any of the episodes. I am sending you so much love. And until next time, remember, you've got what it takes to create more amazing days. And more amazing days make up a pretty amazing life. Have a fantastic week, my incredible friends, and I will see you very soon. Much love.